Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to attack and create a custom infographic step by step together. Now for this demonstration, this is going to be chapter 2. What we're going to do is go step by step using two powerful pieces of software, one being Adobe InDesign and the other being Adobe Illustrator. Now these programs are excellent for creating infographics. You have the flexibility to create custom designs in Illustrator and customize colors and the physical design itself, and then directly import that into InDesign, which is kind of like your layout program where you build your compelling infographic and put it all together. So what's great about these two softwares is that they talk to each other, and you're going to see why that is. So it's recommended that you have both of those softwares. If you don't, what you can do is download a free trial at the Adobe website, or you can just simply follow along and absorb all the information. Leave any questions in the comments below, because the practice kind of works the same with any software that you use. These two just make it easy. Now, if you'd like to follow along step by step with this demonstration, go ahead and download the source files. You'll find that link in the description, and it'll give you all the different images and the text that we'll be working with today to build an awesome factual index infographic. So I'm going to go ahead without further ado and start this presentation. Okay, so first things first, right off the bat, what I'm going to show you is the download that you can download the files that we're going to be working with today. And of course, it'll come up in Google Drive. And I recommend saving these files to either your Scratch hard disk or some kind of local hard drive, so your computer won't lag on you, because Illustrator and InDesign can be a little bit of a resource hog. So you don't want to have it on a network drive. And what you're going to do is you're going to download all these three files right here. In this subfolder called sources are going to be all the images we're going to be working with today. And there's also two Word documents, one being a caption example, which we'll put in the metadata when we're almost completed with the infographic, and then a data sheet. You guys are lucky because I did all the research for us. So everything's already researched. All we have to do is put our compelling design together. Just to give you an example of what we're going to be building, the final product, it's going to look something like this. This is a factual index infographic, and it's going to be about the U.S. Army Fast Facts. So cool modern design demo, and we're going to be building this step by step together. I do also have another demonstration, the one that you saw in chapter 1 yesterday about the U.S. energy, power, statistics, and insights. Maybe in later videos we'll create that one too, but today we're going to focus on this military-themed infographic. So without further ado, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up the Adobe InDesign software. Now I'm working with InDesign version 2025 today, but however, any InDesign version up to, or I should say, going back to CS6 will work just fine. What you're going to do is you're going to launch that program. It's Adobe InDesign. And if this is your first time working in InDesign, you're going to have this splash screen minus all the recent files that you see down below. So pretty much these splash screens are kind of the same for almost all the Adobe products. Pretty much they all have like the same function and different options when it comes to getting started. The first thing that we're going to do once your InDesign opens is we're going to create a new file together. Easiest way to create a new file is just to look at the upper left here, and you'll see a blue button that says New File. Click on that. And what this is going to do is open up the presets panel. And this gives you a bunch of different presets to get you started in the program. Now today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working in the print module. So the print module is 1, 2, 3 options on the top here. Click on print. Now when you click on print, it's going to give you a bunch of different presets that you can use to get yourself up and going instantly. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be choosing a 11 by 17. That's going to be our size of the infographic. So that's what is known as a tabloid size. So if you look at your presets here, you'll notice there's one that says tabloid. This is the one you're going to want to click. And you'll see the blue box around it, meaning it's selected. Now, it doesn't look like an 11 by 17 as in 11 inches by 17 inches because we have to change the units from picas to inches. So if you look at this units drop down right here, what you're going to want to do is drop it down and select the one that says inches. And there we go. You see 11 by 17. Now the orientation, this guy on the right over here, this basically toggles between portrait mode and landscape. Today's project is going to be in the portrait mode, so just make sure that this guy right here is selected, the left option. You also have an option to rename your project file, aka your InDesign file, with this text kind of like block up here. It'll say probably Untitled 1, Untitled 2, something untitled. So here's where I suggest putting in a name. You could put Infographic Demo. You can put, if you're in the military, you can put your VIRN, that's recommended. Or if you're just following along, you can pretty much name this whatever you want. Today, I'm just going to name this Infographic Demo. My prior students, don't kill me on this one. I know it should be the VIRN, but for the demonstration purposes, I'm just going to label it Infographic Demo, and that's that. So scrolling on down here, and again, this is the right-hand preset panel, you'll notice that there is something called Pages. Now, InDesign is one of the best softwares out there to create multiple different pages. If you have to create a brochure, a pamphlet, a magazine, this is the program of choice. You can make as many pages as you want. You can orientate them to be like a spread, or you can have them stand alone. But let's say you need like a 10-page change of command program, right? You can put 10 pages right in this option right here, and it'll get you started with multiple pages. That's really the power of this program. It's what's known as a desktop publishing program. But we're going to keep it to 1. So if yours says 1, that's going to be good. It's just going to be a single 11 by 17 infographic. Now, if you scroll down here, you'll notice that there's something called columns. Now, columns allow you to essentially separate the space on your pages. So let's say you want like multiple columns to create like different text areas. You can have 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. And the gutter, column gutter, is basically the space in between the frames of the column. Most magazines usually have like a 2-column kind of like fixed point, and then they have a column gutter of about approximately 1/4 inch. But today we're just going to leave it at 1 column. If we need to create 2 columns, we can do that in the program. Now, margins. Margins are going to be kind of like your safe guide to not put images or text outside of them so they don't risk getting cut off in print. Now, for the margins, what we're going to do is we're going to actually give ourselves a little bit more room to work with. So if you look, you see the different types of margins here, and by default, they should be linked. So if you change one, they change all of them. So I want you to click on the little down arrow. You could do the top, you could do the bottom. It's going to change them all instantly anyway. So I'm going to click down, and I want you to get to 0.25 inches, so 1/4 inch. That's going to be our margin size for the entire project. So 1/4 inch all around. Now scrolling down, we also have something called the bleed and the slug. Now the bleed essentially is going to be something that your printer might ask you to create. A printer might ask you, we need a 1/4 inch bleed. And what a bleed is, it allows the images and colors to spill off the page. It bleeds out. So, and it protects like cutting inconsistencies if you're making a lot of different pamphlets. So if the cutter's slightly not calibrated correctly and it cuts maybe too much or not too much, it'll still have the colors and the images. That's what a bleed is essentially designed to do. today, there's going to be no bleed. We're not bleeding on this one. But just know that's how you can change that, which, by the way, you can always change these while you're working in the program too. This is just to get you started. Finally, there's one more thing to mention, and it's called the slug. Now, the slug is actually information that is not designed to be printed. So it's like information that you can put, like instructions for like a printer. You can put some text in a slug so your printer can see it, and they can understand and know what they have to do in order to, like, say, print it. Because again, InDesign is really, it's a publishing program designed for text, designed for print. It also has a lot of good web applications as well. But today, there's going to be no slug. So pretty much what we're going to have is 1/4 inch margins all around, one page, 11 by 17. When you're ready to go, you're going to go ahead and hit this blue button at the bottom here. It says create. And you should get a single 11 by 17 looking something like you see on screen here. Now, before we do anything, what we have to do is we have to make sure that we save this file in a correct location. So in case InDesign crashes on us, we can open up that file and recover our work. So let's go up to File on top here. Let's see File. And I want you to find the one that says Save As. Click on that. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring up this, this prompt here. It says, hey, do you want to save this locally, or do you want to save it to the cloud? We're going to save it on the computer. So at the bottom here, I want you to hit save on your computer. Now, if you're working in Windows, that's what I'm working with today. It's going to bring up what is known as the file browser. Mac has something very similar. But what you're going to want to do is save this file somewhere on a local disk, preferably where you downloaded all your source files. And what you're going to want to do is save it to where you want it. I'm going to save it right here. And notice the file name automatically has what we put in that text box when we were setting up this document. If you have a variant, your variant should show up. I just named it Infographic Demo, so Infographic Demo shows up, which is what we want. So we don't have to do anything here. We just have to hit the Save button. So go ahead and click on Save. Good. Now, every time we hit Control S, it'll automatically save to that designated spot as your InDesign file. It's like your master file right there. So if it closes on you, you can just double click on that InDesign file, should open up where you last saved off. Now, there is an auto crash recovery system similar to Illustrator's. It's not the best, so I recommend to save often. And the quick command again is Control and S, as in Samuel. All right, so we're looking good so far. We have our document set up. We're ready to get cooking now. What you're going to do is get into the proper workspace now, because I want you to see exactly what I'm working on, and this way we can do this step by step. So the first thing I want you to do is look at the top menu here, and I want you to click on where it says Window, and I want you to find the one that says Workspace. It's the second option down. Now what you're going to do is you're going to select the Essentials Classic. So not Essentials, but Essentials Classic. And when you click on that, it's going to look something like this. And the reason why we're using the classic mode today is because the classic mode gives you what is known as a context bar. That's this guy, this whole different option bar up here. And it gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're using different tools in the program. So you can make quick color selections, make text size adjustments, makes it a little bit easier. Now, there is a CC Libraries panel. That's what this is. That's what these are right here. These are what is known as panels. This takes up a lot of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click, hold and drag where it says CC Libraries, and I'm going to drag it down to those panels on the left there that are collapsed. you'll see a little blue highlight there. When I let go of my mouse, it's going to dock it underneath. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to give myself a little bit more real estate, because that panel by default takes up a lot of space. And speaking of that, let's take a little tour. Again, these are what is known as panels. And by default, you should have pages, layers, links. And if you click on these guys, you'll see a little pop out. And each of these panels right here will give you different options depending on what you're doing. Now, because we're not making a multiple page product today, we're not going to really be using pages too much, but we definitely are going to be using what is known as layers. This layering system is very similar, if not exactly the same as Adobe Illustrator. So if you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator's layer program with layers and sublayers, you'll feel right at home. Links are going to be important if you, say, move or rename a file on your computer and InDesign doesn't know what to do. You can relink it. We also have stroke. We have color. We have swatches, one of my favorites. It's a little bit different than Adobe Illustrator swatches, but we'll work with those today as well. And this text to image uses, it's Adobe's Firefly AI. We're not going to be using that today. There's one more panel that we do need that's going to be critical for our project, and that's going to be the text panel. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to Window again, and I want you to go all the way down to where it says Type and Tables. Now, if you hover the mouse over Type and Tables, you'll see a pop-out here, all the different types of character text functions. Now, what I'm going to grab is the character one. So if you click on character, what this is going to do is give you this panel right here. This panel allows you to change font, change the size, change kerning, the leading, even change the vertical height or the line spacing in between your sentences. So we're going to need this panel. This is important. Now, it comes undocked. If you want to dock it, what you do is you click on this little tab up here, and you can click, hold, and drag, and you can dock it to your other panels. So when you see that blue highlight, you just let go of your mouse, and it'll dock it for you. And if you click on it, it'll give you a little controlled pop-up. Cool, you have character. Now we need another important one, and it's going to be the paragraph style. So let's go back up to Window. Let's go to work, let's go back down to Type and Tables. And I want you to find the one that says paragraph. And you're going to click on this guy. So same thing, it gives you an undocked panel, and this has all of our paragraph options. I want you to take this, and I want you to dock it to the right. Great. So I believe we already understand the concepts of what these panels do. Again, there's just different options depending on what you're doing. And just so everybody is tracking, this again is the context menu in the Essential Classics mode, and this will give us our options to work with different features when we have the different tools. And speaking of tools, here's our tools. So you'll notice that this toolbar on the left here looks very, very similar to Illustrator's toolbar. As a matter of fact, it's almost exactly the same, minus a few extra features. We have different features that are exclusive with the InDesign software, but we're going to be working with a lot of these tools. There's these two little arrows up top here. If you click on this button, it'll give you like a single column for your tools. Or if you click on it again, it'll give you the double column. I personally like to work with the double column, but that's going to be your personal preference. You'll notice here we also have a fill and a stroke panel, very similar to Illustrator. And this is going to be very essential for us when we're working with different design elements to build this infographic together. And then I guess the only thing that we haven't talked about with the the graphic user interface, is the bottom bar here. And the bottom bar is the what is known as the status bar. And this panel is very similar to Illustrator. We have our zoom levels, just like in Illustrator. But we also have, and this is the most important part, I would say, and why the status panel actually matters when we're working in the program. You'll notice there's a little green dot, and it says no errors, because we haven't done anything. We can't be erroneous if we haven't done anything yet. This gives you what is known as a pre-flight panel. That's what InDesign calls it. It basically tells you if there's things like unlinked images. It gives you information about maybe you have something what is known as overset text, which means text runs beyond the visible place that it can be seen. So if you ever see a red dot there, this panel, it's called the pre-flight panel, will show you where the errors are being caused in your document so you can fix it. Say if it's overset text, you can either expand your text area so all the text shows, or you can delete some text. Or if you need to relink an image, this pre-flight panel makes it really easy to find the errors because they do happen. So keep an eye on that as we work through this project, and we'll also talk more about it in a later chapter. All right, so let's get started. So in the tool panel, you'll see that there's two arrows on the top here. This is exactly the same as Illustrators. We have a selection tool. I'm always going to refer to it as the normal or regular selection. And then we have what is known as the direct selection tool. So let's select our regular selection tool. By the way, the quick command is V as in victory on the keyboard. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do a few different kind of like functions when it comes to working effectively in the program. With this tool, if you hold down the Alt key, hold down Alt or Option on the Mac, and if you use your scroll wheel and you scroll up and scroll back, it's going to give you a quick zoom depending on where your cursor is. That's scrolling up and scrolling down with Alt being held down. Now, if you hold down the space bar, that little cursor is going to turn into a glove, and this glove allows you to click, hold, and drag around your canvas here. So if you're zoomed in and you need to move to a different section, you can click, hold, and drag and move around your canvas. Cool. Now, if you hold down your Control key and hit minus on your keyboard, Control and minus, that'll zoom out. And if you hit Control and plus, that'll zoom in. Just another way to do it. Now, if you hold down Control and 0, that's going to give you 100% full screen as your monitor can display the whole project. All right, and one last thing to mention is that this pink line right here is basically what is the margin. Remember how we set the margins to 1/4 of an inch? That's what this is right here. And speaking of 1/4 of an inch, let's turn on our rulers because they're going to be very important for this demo. If you hold down Control and press on R as in Romeo, this will toggle on and off, Control R, your rulers. And it's kind of like the same thing that you find in Illustrator or Photoshop or Premiere. So here's our rulers, and I have them toggled on. I'm going to hit Control and 0 to give me the full screen. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our toolbar once again. And I want you to find the one that has a little rectangle with an X through it. So click on this guy right here. The shortcut keyboard command is F. And what we're going to do, and this is a frame, we're going to create our first frame together. I want you to look all the way at the top of your document here, even past the margin, And I want you to, what you're going to do is you're going to click, hold, and drag this rectangle. You're going to drag, drag, drag down, and take a look at the left. Don't let go of your mouse. Take a look at the left. See that little tick that goes up and down? kind of hard for me to zoom in while I'm doing this, but there's a little tick that goes up and down while you're dragging. I want you to find where it says about a quarter and a half of, I'm sorry, 4 1/4. So something like this on screen. And you're going to drag all the way to the other side of the document. So essentially we're making the height of this rectangle to be 4 1/4 inches, something like that. And let go. Congratulations, you just made your very first frame. And this is how the InDesign engine actually works. Everything is essentially a frame. Regardless if you have images or text, frames are what make this program powerful and sometimes a bit of a headache at the same time. But what we just created is a blank frame. This frame is going to be the container that holds our image or images or text. In this case, it's going to be holding our main visual hook image for this infographic. So once you create this frame, my hands are up, I'm not touching anything. What you're going to do is get your regular selection tool, click on that guy, and click anywhere in the gray. Anywhere in the gray. This is going to be very important. Anytime you want to deselect, the easiest thing to do is to take that regular selection tool and click in the gray, anywhere in the gray. And that's going to deselect everything for you. So our frame is now deselected. Because I think it's time we put in our very first image together. So let's do this. The easiest way, but there's a couple ways to import images. Here's one of the easiest ways to do it. Let's go up to File, and you're going to go to the option that says Place. The shortcut keyboard command is Control and Delta. So click on Place for me, and that's going to bring up our good old file browser. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to where you saved all your sources files that you downloaded, and it's going to look something like you see on screen here. We got a lot of different PNGs and JPEGs and Illustrator files. I want you to find the one that says military base, and it is an Illustrator file. That's right. We're going to import an Illustrator save file as the first image. We'll see if it works. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to select military base, and you're going to click on the Open button down at the bottom right. Boom. Now, what you have here is what is known as a loaded cursor, meaning it has an image, and you basically allows you to put it anywhere on your document how you see fit. If I move my mouse around, notice that little image down there that's attached to the cursor. That is the loaded cursor right there. So this is containing an image, and InDesign saying, hey, where you want to put it, right? But because we created a frame, check this out. I just want you to click in that X. So anywhere in this X right here, this frame, this empty frame, left click one time. And that's going to place that image within the bounds of that frame. Now you'll notice a couple of things. You're probably saying, whoa, that image looks pixelated and way too large. Because it is. It is a big, big file. And this is only a frame that's constrained by an 11 by 17. So check this out and try it with me. With that regular selection tool still selected, right? If you move this frame, so just click anywhere. Don't click on that circle. Don't click on the circle. Not yet. If you just click, hold, and drag this frame, it'll allow you to move the frame and the image that's contained inside. But I'm just going to put that back up at the top there. So it moves everything. Now, check this out. Now click on that little circle that's in the middle there. This allows you to move your image. And if you hold down the mouse, and keep it held down, you'll see there's like an orange line. This orange line right here, this is actually how big this image is. So I'm going to zoom out. You don't have to do this, but I just want to show you how large this image is. That orange rectangle right there is the entire image. It's massive. But I can move it by clicking on that circle. Let's say I just wanted to show the helicopter right here and then put it into the frame. But I want the whole image in there. So what I'm going to do, I want everybody to do this. Right click somewhere in the frame. Now, we have a lot of options here. This is what's known as a contextual menu. I want you to find the option that says fitting. Fitting. It's like right in the middle. And you're going to hover the mouse over fitting. And I want you to hit the option that says fit content to frame. Or no, rather, don't click on that one. I just thought about it. So you're going to hit fit content proportionally. So this way it won't accidentally skew your image. Both of these options that say proportionately means that you won't like skew any images or make it not like it's original. So we'll hit fit content proportionally for this one. So let's click on that. There we go. So proportionately, it fit the image to that frame without skewing it. And it looks like this. Now I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Chris, this looks crazy pixelated, because it is. Because this is what's known as a fast preview mode. So InDesign kind of saves resources so it doesn't lag or slow down your computer. Don't worry about it if it looks pixelated. We'll see the full view momentarily. But what we're going to do is we're going to resize it. So after we fit it proportionally, what I want you to do is I want you to double click this time. And what this does here is it gives you basically the image itself inside of the frame. And you'll notice that there's these little anchor points around the image. It's that orange bounding box again. So InDesign saying, hey, you want to resize the image. And what you're going to do is you're going to find one of the diagonal anchor points here. You're going to hold down Shift. You're going to click, hold, and drag. And that's going to proportionately make your image smaller or larger by dragging in and out. I want you to make it a little bit larger for me, just a little bit larger. And what you're going to do is now move it. So you see the cursor is a grabber tool now, and allows you to move the image inside the frame. Notice if I move it down, right, what it's doing is it's cropping out everything at the bottom there, because whatever can be displayed can only be shown what's in the frame. But we're not working in the frame here, we're working with the image itself. And I want you to kind of make it a little bit larger and move it something like this. So we have the satellite here in the margin. Here's our main image. And I think I'm going to move it up just something like this is fine. Yeah, something like that. So we have the majority of the image inside of this frame. Something like that. Now, again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click anywhere in the gray space that deselects everything. Now, because I deselected everything, if I just click, hold, and drag on the image now, notice it moves everything, the frame and the image. But if I double click on that image, it gives me the option to resize and reposition that image. But I like how it looks right now. This is basically just known as the largest image on an infographic, aka your visual hook, to get your readers interested in it. Okay, so I think that's, I'm happy with that. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a shape now together. So what we're going to do is we're going to find our rectangle tool. So if you look at the toolbar, there next to the one that had the X slash through it, there is just our normal rectangle tool to the right. Now, what this is actually here is this is our shapes. These are how we can create custom shapes inside of the program. Very similar to pretty much all the other programs out there. Except this time, we only have 3 options. We're going to select the rectangle tool, and you're going to get these crosshairs that you see on screen. And that's going to allow you to create a custom rectangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle across from margin to margin here. Margin to margin underneath our main visual hook image. So let's create, I want you to put your cursor somewhere, underneath the image that's like right on the margin there. You're going to click, hold, and drag a mini rectangle that looks about yay big, give or take. You can make it a little smaller. This is just a design element, by the way. This is not going to hold text. And I'm going to let go of my mouse. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is our first rectangle, smart shape, or just a shape. Now, if you have the default version of the program, you'll notice that there's no color inside the rectangle. There's just going to be a very, very thin stroke. And that's denoted by our little swatches panel here. You see this slash through the fill, and our stroke is just a default black registration color. We're going to change this. What we're going to do is I want you to select the stroke by just clicking that square with a little punch out in the middle there. And you're going to toggle this option right here. This is going to apply a none. The shortcut keyboard command for this is just the slash that's next to the shift key. It's also the question mark key. Click on this. That's going to give us a no stroke. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill this with a color of our choice, choosing for now. And if you double click on this swatch right here, you'll get what is known as the color picker. And this allows you to essentially change the rectangle color to whatever you like. So let's say I want to change it to a different color. I can pick a color of my choosing here and hit OK. That's going to change the color. Also, what you can do, that's one way to do it. Up top here, it's the same thing. Again, that context menu is great because it gives you options right here. This little square right here is our fill, and this one on the bottom is the stroke. So you can see that the stroke is turned off. And if I click on this little arrow right here next to the square, this allows me to pick different colors. Say I sampled a few colors. It allows me to pick it right from here, and it'll change appropriately down there. So one option gives you the swatches. The other one allows you to pick any color of your choosing. I'm just going to choose like a dark green. By the way, I do have to mention this color picker is nowhere near as intuitive as Illustrator or Photoshop's. It's a little bit funky, but it's just the way the InDesign program works. Again, it's optimized for CMYK. It's optimized for print. I'm just going to pick this dark green right here. And there we have it. Now we're going to change this. But what I want you to do is I want you to get your regular selection tool. This guy right here. Click anywhere in the gray space. So everything's deselected. Now, if you click on that rectangle you just made, it gives you the bounding box, so the little anchor points. So if you need to make a size adjustment, you can always do it on the back end. You can make things bigger, you can make it smaller, you can bring it in, you can bring it out. And what I want you to do is actually go to the side here, and I want you to actually expand this rectangle until it hits the actual page border itself, so beyond the margin. Again, it's just a design element, so it doesn't really make a difference if it gets cut off. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And that little middle anchor right there, I'm just going to click, hold, and drag, bring it out so it touches the page, like the actual end of the page right there, as well as the other side. Bam. There we go. So again, this is just going to kind of give us a separation border for our main image right here. And you know what? I think I'm going to make it a little more thinner. So like maybe something like this. Click in the gray space, everything's deselected. All right, now I think it's time. We add our first text box. So we have our image, we have a little shape. Now it's time to create our first text, this case being our title text. So what I want you to do is we're going to work with another tool now. I want you to look at the toolbar and find the big T, our type tool. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to make a nice, big, large text box underneath that rectangle. Something like this. You're going to drag it from the left margin. So don't go to the page. You're going to do the left margin. Click, hold, and drag to the right margin. Something like this. When you let go, okay, what it's going to do is it's going to give you the flashing cursor so you can type your text. Now, on the top here, you'll notice that the context menu changed. We now have font options. So we can choose a font, we can choose the size, we can choose the style, and a bunch of other goodies that we can do with our text. What we're going to do is we're going to set this up to give us our title text. And let me just look at my cheat sheet here. It's my only form of notes. The font is going to be, Century Gothic Bold, a classic. So in this little box right here, what I want you to do is I want you to drop this down and I want you to type in century. If I can spell it right, century. So the option that we're going to select for this one is Century Gothic Bold. So click on that one. So that's going to be our font style. Now our font size is going to be 44 points. So pretty big. Now, in order to change font size, you can just physically type a number where these two T's are, and that'll give you a different point size. Or you can drop down the point size menu right here to give you a bunch of presets. But I'm just going to type in 44 right here, hit enter to confirm it, and then that's going to give a big cursor because 44-point font is pretty big. Now, I think we're ready to type our first text, and this one's going to be called U.S. Army Fast Facts. So I'm going to type in U.S.Army Fast Facts. Let's make sure I have that right. Yes, Fast Facts. U.S. Army Fast Facts. That's going to be the title of this infographic. Again, it's a factual index. And this is going to align with that whole topic right there. Now, once you've typed in that text, that title text right there, by the way, I just need to make this known. If you don't see any text, it might look something like this. It just means your text area is too small. If you take that normal selection tool, you click on that text area you created, you can expand it out a little bit until you see your text. See this right here? This actually, believe it or not, is what's known as overset text, meaning the text is not on display in the frame. And I guarantee if I look at my status bar, boom, it says an error right there, meaning, hey, there's overset text, can't see it. If I drag it down until I can see it, boom, green light, good to go. So just make sure that you can see it. Again, it's Century Gothic Bold, 44 points. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to give this a proper center. So what I want you to do is triple click the text with the regular selection tool selected. Triple click 1, 2, 3. That's going to select all your text. Let's mosey on over. Well, let me show you a couple ways to do it. Easiest way to do it is to look at the top here. You'll see your paragraph options right here. So if you click on the center, what this is going to do is it's going to just center that text that with that frame that we created for the text. Or I'm going to hit Control Z, that goes back a step. That paragraph panel that we put in our panels also has the same options as well. So I'm just going to align center. And there we have it. U.S. Army Fast Facts. Nice and centered. Now, there is a couple of things to note. If you want to move your text, right, again, the concept is the same. You take that regular selection tool. I usually recommend just clicking a gray space, click on the actual text area, and then you click, hold, and drag it to move it up or down. And I want you to move it so it's not writing that line right there, that rectangle line. So just give yourself a little bit, a sliver of space right there, so it's not like this. Just a little sliver of space. Also, the way InDesign works, the more you're zoomed in, the more precise you can move something. You also can click, or should I say press, your up and down arrow keys to move by 1 pixel, up and down. Same thing with left and right, it moves it by 1 pixel. Just give yourself a little bit of space like that. Okay, so once we have that going on, what we're going to do now is create our subtitle. So we have our title, it's looking fabulous. Let's create our subtitle now. And we're going to do something a little bit different this time. We're going to actually create a rectangle that also contains text. I know it's crazy, but let's do it together. So let's look at the toolbar here, and I want you to find your rectangle tool. Okay. And what you're going to do now is, so not on the text itself, on somewhere underneath, I want you to go to the margin line, similar to how we created the text area. And I want you to click, hold, and drag a bigger rectangle, go to the other margin, and a little bit bigger of a rectangle, maybe something like that. Because this is going to have or house our subtitle. So once you've done that, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to take off that stroke. So I'm going to click on my stroke little swatch in the toolbar here. I'm going to apply none. So that's going to take off the stroke. And I want you to click on your fill swatch here, double click, and pick a color of your choosing. Or let's try this out. There's a little eyedropper down here. If you click on the eyedropper, you have to click, hold, and drag. This maintains your eyedropper. So click and hold it down, and then drag it out. And you can drag it over that main image that we brought in earlier, and you can sample a color of your choosing to match that image. This is a great way to create color cohesiveness if you're trying to create a theme. So again, all I did was click on the eyedropper, hold my mouse down, hold my trackpad down, whatever you're working in, right? You see the eyedropper. You just drag now. You drag to the color you want to pick. And I'm going to pick this, I'm going to pick a lighter green, maybe this, these trees in the background here. I'm going to let go of my mouse. And what that's going to do is it's going to target that color. It's going to target it. And basically, that's it. It gives you a custom color selection based on an image or based on a reference. And I'm going to click on OK. And there we have it. Now we're gonna create a custom swatch theme in the next chapter. But for now, we're just picking some basic colors here just to get us started. Okay, so we have our rectangle now. We have a solid fill rectangle. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our type tool once again, click on the big T, and I want you to actually press your left click somewhere in this rectangle itself. When you do that, what it does is it actually changes that rectangle to house or contain text. How cool is that? So you can have a custom shape and put text inside of it. And again, the shape could be anything. So you'll notice the blinking cursor. And let me look at my cheat sheet here. So it looks like we're going to be using Century Gothic Regular for the font. So at the top here, let's choose Century Gothic Regular, this option right here. And the font size is going to be 20 points. So I'm going to go up here where there's the two T's, the big T, the little t, and I'm going to type in 20, 20 points. I'm going to hit enter to confirm it. Okay, so our subtitle is going to be 10 Surprising Insights into America's Oldest Service Branch. Now, you can type that, or in your data sheet, I've already spelled out literally all the information we're going to be using in this project. So for me, I'm just going to click, hold, and drag, copy this text, 10 Surprising Insights into America's Oldest Service Branch. And I'm going to Control and V, and there we have it. So this is going to be our subtitle, 10 Surprising Insights into America's Oldest Service Branch. Just gives a little more context about, this infographic topic. Now, once we have that text in there, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did before. I'm going to triple click. Again, 1, 2, 3 on your mouse. That'll select all the text, just to be safe. And I'm going to make sure that this is center aligned. Click. Now, when you have text inside of a color box, whether it be a rectangle or essentially any shape, what it's going to do by default is it's going to ride the line. When I say riding the line, that's what this is right here. The text is literally touching where that color starts. Now, we never want to do this because it makes your product look a little bit amateurish as well as unbalanced. So we're going to give this a little bit of what is known as inset spacing. So it gives us a little bit of spacing or padding around our shape with the text. So what I want you to do is you can triple click on the text, or you can just have that rectangle selected. It's going to work the same way. What you're going to do is hold down the Control key, hold down Control, and hit Bravo. So that's B on your keyboard. And it should bring up a pop-up that looks like this. This is what's known as text frame options. So it gives us some flexibility to customize the text inside of a shape or inside of a frame, really. Essentially, the shape that we made is a frame. So what I want you to do is, in general here, there's an option in the middle called inset spacing. I want you to give a little bit of spacing, a little bit of padding, so it's not riding the line. This kind of works like the margins that we did before. Notice we have a little link here. Whatever I press on one of them will change all of them. That's what we want, for this case at least. And we're going to do, let's give it a little bit of space. Let's do, it's going to be 2 clicks up, 0.125 inches. That should give us a nice little bit of padding. And you're going to click on OK. What happened, right? My text disappeared. The reason why it disappeared, this is very common, is because that padding basically goes beyond what is on frame there. So our text is still there. It's just that padding is making up additional space, and that's why our text disappeared. So to fix this, you click on the selection tool, you click on the rectangle, and just drag down the anchor point a little bit until you can see the text. So you're basically just expanding the frame just a little bit so you can see your text. Now, if yours didn't do this, you're ahead of the game. You're good. But if you see something like this after you did the inset spacing, again, that's the selection tool. Click on the rectangle itself. You see the anchor points. Drag down. There we go. See that? So inset spacing, again, is going to give you some spacing around the text. So if your text is big to begin with, and say your shape is not too big, it may just disappear like that on you. And just to re-emphasize the pre-flight panel, so I'm going to make sure it disappears. See, I have an error. It's telling me I have overset text. That's what this is. But if I drag down a little bit so I can see it, well, we got no errors. Let's go. And there we have it. We have our subtitle now. So I like it. U.S. Army Fast Facts, 10 Surprising Insights into America's Oldest Service Branch. We're on a good pace here. The only thing that we're going to do in addition is we're going to make U.S. Army Fast Facts all caps. So if you did title caps like I did when I typed it out, what I'm going to do is triple click 1, 2, 3, select all the text for our title, and check this out. In the context menu up here, there's 2 capital T's, TT, big T's. If you click on this, it's going to change all of your text to all caps, just like that. So you don't have to retype it out with caps lock on or hold down shift and do it. It will automatically do it for you. Pretty cool. And I'm happy with this. I like it. Hit Control S for me real quick. Control and S. Let's save this. All right. So that's going to conclude chapter 1 here. All we did was import an image. We learned about resizing an image with frames. We learned a little bit about the text options, as well as how to put text inside of a shape using a little bit of inset spacing. In the next chapter, we're going to cover custom color swatches. We're going to start building our factual index with the little tidbits of information. And we're going to be delving into a little bit of Adobe Illustrator to customize our imagery. So I hope that you enjoyed chapter 1, and this will conclude, chapter 2, and this will conclude that. So I'll see you in the next one, and please consider liking and subscribing if you like this content. There's no flashy intros, no flashy music. I just kind of get right to it, and I'll see you in chapter 3 to complete our amazing infographic.